Hey y'all, this is Jillian from Maxie Makes Magic, a certified Disney adult who's been going to the Walt Disney World Resort for now 27 years. And today we're talking about one of the most important things that you need to know before your next Walt Disney World Resort trip, and that is transportation. How are you getting to and from the resort? How are you getting around the property? You need to know everything about transportation to pick what works best for you and your travel party because no one's trip is created equal, and today I'm here to help. When traveling on the Walt Disney World Resort property and to and from the resort, there are 8 different transportation options, which include the Mears bus, Walt Disney World Resort buses, the Monorail, Skyliner, Ferry Boats, as well as minivans, rental cars, and Uber and Lyft. So you have a ton of different options that you can mix and match in order to make the best trip possible. But what's really important for you to know is what options you have, as we just discussed, the cost, the pros and cons of each, whether you're traveling to and from the resort, if you're on the property and trying to get to the parks, and also when you're trying to explore the hotels as well as the restaurants all across the Walt Disney World Resort property. And we're gonna dive into those right now. Let's start by talking how to get to and from the resort property. Now, I'm mainly focusing today on out-of-state guests or out-of-country guests, not necessarily folks that are driving to the property, because your experience might be a little bit different. And there are 3 different transportation options that you can consider to help you get to and from the Walt Disney World Resort. One is the Mears bus, another is Uber and Lyft, and the last and final is renting a rental car at one of the many airport services. One of the cheapest and easiest options that you can pick from is Uber or Lyft. It can be accessed right on your phone by downloading the app. And truthfully, pricing is extremely dependent on the time of year, when you're at the airport, the time of day, because there can be different prices depending on not only the type of Uber or Lyft you select, but also your party size. There's a lot of factors that go into that final price. I love Uber and Lyft when I travel because it's extremely easy to access on my phone, and a really cool thing for first-time users and routine users is there usually are special offers available right in the app that can give you a discount at the very start of your Disney trip. There's also a dedicated lane at the Orlando International Airport, so you know exactly where you need to go in order to order a Uber or a Lyft. One of the main cons to Uber and Lyft is the fact that unfortunately we have to deal with that surge pricing, as I mentioned moments ago. It really can fluctuate depending on the time of year, how many folks you have in your party, a lot of factors that go into that overall pricing. The next great option is a rental car because it gives you so much flexibility on your trip. One of the things to consider here is that there are many different options to pick from at the Orlando International Airport, so really the possibilities here are endless. It's also great having a rental car on property because you can get to and from the property on your own terms, and you also can travel off property to some of those other really popular resorts like Universal Resort. In addition to that too, parking at the hotels is completely free. This is a newer change in the last few years, so you can park at your resort property as long as you have a reservation at your resort. While you can shop a variety of options, one of the downfalls of having a rental car when you're getting to and from the airport is the time it takes to get your car. It is one of the busiest airports that I have ever been to in my entire life, and for whatever reason, trying to get a rental car here can take a lot of time. It can usually take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, so something to really bear in mind there. In addition to that, depending again on your party size, usually the more guests you have, the more expensive of a vehicle you might need, but the good thing about that is you can split the cost across all of the folks that are in your travel party to make it more cost effective. So it just depends on how you look at it and how your travel party looks at it. Don't worry, he's okay. He's just really upset that I picked him up because he was hiding in the corner of my video. The last and final option to get to and from the Walt Disney World Resort property is the Mears bus. This is a bus service that you either can take one way or pay round trip for your vacation. And this is really great for large travel parties because you all can get on the same bus and to your resort. Bear in mind that there are different costs between both standard as well as express options for the Mears bus. Now keep in mind, if you do take the standard option, This is going to be shared with other guests and may require you to stop at multiple resorts before you get to your very own, which could add time into your travel. The other option you have here is the express route. This is a round trip only option and it is a direct access to your hotel, meaning you are not going to stop anywhere else. You are going to go right to your hotel to and from the airport. One of the big cons about this service is that it used to be free. There was a bus that would take you to and from the Walt Disney World Resort property, and unfortunately that sunset some years ago. It's a perk that we really, as Disney fans, miss. Fortunately for us, we still have some really great options to get us to and from the airport. So now that we've figured out how to get to the property, let's figure out the most important thing, and that's getting to and from the parks. You're on the Walt Disney World Resort property, you've checked into your hotel, or you're at a Good Neighbor hotel on the property. How are you going to get to the park? Good thing for you, there are 7 different options to pick from, as we have to remove the Mears bus from our initial list because the Mears bus only gives us access to and from the airport. With that being said, you have 7 different options to help you get around the property, and we're going to start with the most popular, and that is the Disney buses. These Disney buses give you access to all 6 of the Walt Disney World Resort parks, including Disney's Magic Kingdom, Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney's Hollywood Studios, Epcot, as well as the water parks of Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. So you have 6 different parks that you can go to and access by using the Walt Disney World Resort bus system. This option is absolutely free, which we love when we're talking about Disney. And they open about 45 minutes before the park opens and stop running about an hour after close traditionally. And the really cool thing is there's actually displays at each bus station that will indicate real time when the next bus is going to be available and how long it's going to take you to get to your final destination. A con when you're looking at the Walt Disney Resort water parks is the fact that you have to do a switch bus, meaning you're going to have to go from your main resort, hop on a bus, go to Disney Springs in order to hop on a different bus to take you to either Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach, so you'll want to account for that during your travel time. One of the cons of the buses is the time it takes for them not only to arrive at your hotel, but travel time. It's about 10 to 20 minutes between every single bus, which doesn't sound like much, but your travel time is super valuable in Disney. You want to account for about an hour to get to and from the parks before and after your park day, so keep that in mind. Another thing here too is depending on where you're staying in the resort property and where the park's proximity is to your hotel might take you a little bit longer. If you're staying in the Animal Kingdom Resort property area, let's say at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you're quite farther out in comparison to the rest of the resort. So if you're going to make a trip over to the Magic Kingdom, it might take you a little bit more time than it would for somebody that's staying at a Magic Kingdom Resort property hotel. One last thing is that because these buses are so popular, they can fill up very quickly, which means again, you might have to wait just a little bit longer in order to be able to hop on the buses. But we love a free transportation option. The bus drivers on property are well trained, absolutely phenomenal folks, and will get you safely to and from where you need to go. Our next option, and one of the new kids to the Transportation Club, is the Disney Skyliner. This is a gondola system that works within the Epcot and Hollywood Studios resort property area to get you traveled through the sky to your final destination. This is another free transportation option that anybody on the Walt Disney World Resort property can use, but it's specifically advantageous to folks who are staying at either Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, Disney's Riviera Resort, Disney's Art of Animation, and Disney's Pop Century Resort, because they have Skyliner locations and Skyliner hubs near these resorts that will help you to get to and from Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which makes them a perfect option if you're going to do a park hopper, which is a special Disney ticket that allows you to park hop, just as it sounds, from one Disney World Resort property or one Disney World Resort park to another on the exact same day. So you can hit 2 parks in one day. I absolutely adore the Skyliner. It's a super relaxing way to get to and from the parks. It gives you really great views of the resort property. Again, you're gonna have views of Caribbean Beach Resort, Riviera, Pop Century, and Art of Animation, as well as views of Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. The main con to the Skyliner system is it's only unique to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. You cannot take the Skyliner to get to the Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, so it does limit your park options. In addition to that, the only way to actually get on the Skyliner is if you're staying at one of the resorts or you've gone to the park, whether it's Hollywood Studios or Epcot, so you have to figure out a way to get to those parks first, or you've taken a bus. And that means you've gone from a bus from your resort to a bus at Disney Springs, then a bus to one of the resort properties of the parks, and then you've taken the Skyliner. So not a really great option if you're not staying on one of those resort properties I had mentioned, or if you're choosing the park hop between Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Another con here is if you are afraid of heights. You are quite far off the ground and soaring through the sky as you go from one park to another or one resort to another. So it's really important to keep in mind that if you are someone who is afraid of heights, this might not be a great pick for you. There are also gondolas that are covered with wraps or designed character wraps, and there are ones that are just, you know, your blank windows. They don't have any character wrappings on there. They're like perforated. If you are, you know, someone that gets motion sickness, I don't think this is super motion sickness inducing, but it can be for some folks. And if you do get motion sickness, but you really want to ride it, try to get one of the gondolas that doesn't have one of those perforated character skins on it. That will really just help you have a clear view of what's in front of you and around you and help aid in your trip. And all Skyliner gondolas have vent systems, so it will help you stay cool, get some fresh air, and ease your mind if you're someone who is afraid of heights or gets motion sickness. One final con here is if there is inclement weather. If there is a lightning storm, the Skyliner cannot run. So unfortunately, with how crazy Orlando's weather is and how unpredictable it can be, that can really impact your travel plans. So just know that you always have a backup at your resort property. You will always have a bus available to you. It might just not be your ideal pick for when you're wanting to travel to and from the parks. And that's a really great thing to note too, that if you are at one of those resort properties, you either can have the bus option or the Skyliner. The next form of transportation we're going to talk about is the monorail, and this is the most nostalgic and truly my favorite way to get around the Walt Disney World resort property. This is really advantageous for those folks that are staying on the Walt Disney World Resort monorail loop, and those hotels include the Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and Disney's Contemporary Resort. So there are 3 different hotel properties that are all able to access the monorail, and again, anybody can access the monorail loop. There's just additional hops you'd have to do in order to get there. When we're talking about the monorail system, there are 2 different routes, kind of a Route 1 and a Route 2 that has a Part A and a Part B to keep in mind. The first route we're talking about today is the Express route. That is going to take you from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the Magic Kingdom loop. Now, the Transportation and Ticket Center is essentially just a central hub connecting multiple forms of Disney transportation, such as the monorail loop, the bus loop, as well as ferries. This is a great way to get you to and from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the Magic Kingdom by just hopping on the monorail once you park your vehicle, and you have that amazing view and entrance from the monorail to overseeing this entry gate of the Magic Kingdom, and you can see Cinderella's castle. It is just the most magical way, in my opinion, to arrive at that specific park. The other option too is going from the Transportation and Ticket Center to Epcot. There is a monorail loop for that. I think anybody who is going to the Walt Disney World Resort property, who has either been there once or 1,000 times, should take the monorail. I think the monorail is nostalgic. It's quintessential Disney. Even if you just want to go for a monorail ride, I would highly, highly recommend you do it. It's a great way to just enjoy the Disney vibes in a very relaxing environment. One of the main cons though, when you're thinking about the monorail, is because of that nostalgia and popularity, it can get busy. It is one of the most preferred options of transportation to and from the Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And folks forget about other transportation options like the ferry boats or the buses that are available at the TTC. So it might be better, especially if you're going to the Magic Kingdom, to hop on one of the ferry boats from the TTC that'll take you directly to the front gate, as opposed to slumming it on the monorail with every other person trying to get to the Magic Kingdom. Another con is at the end of the park night. After a really long day, the lines can line up leaving the Magic Kingdom at Epcot for all folks that are trying to get on the monorail. So sometimes, again, it might be easier just to bite the bullet and hop on a bus to get your way back to your resort property. The last and final con is that, just like the Skyliner, the monorail will close for inclement weather, because if there's any sort of lightning system, it's not safe for you or monorail operators to ride on the monorail. So bear that in mind, that if you do leave the resort property and there is a lightning storm and you typically would plan to take the monorail back to your resort, if you're staying on the resort loop, you may either have to use a bus or walk your way back using the walking path, which isn't always a good choice during a thunder and lightning storm, so keep that in mind. One of the most underrated ways to get to the Walt Disney World Resort parks is the ferry boats. There are so many boats on the Walt Disney World Resort property, and I encourage you to take advantage of them. When we're looking at some of the different options that we have, the first is the TTC route. There are 3 different ferry boats for the Magic Kingdom that open 1 hour before and 1 hour after. The Magic Kingdom area boats, you have 4 different boats available to you, including the boat for Disney's Fort Wilderness Lodge and Campground, Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Disney's Polynesian Villas and Bungalows at the Village Resort, as well as Disney's Wilderness Lodge, which means you have the option to take a ferry boat to and from your resort if you're in the Magic Kingdom area, which is fantastic. For the Epcot and Hollywood Studio boat options, you can take a boat if you're staying at Disney's Boardwalk Villas, Disney's Beach Club Villas, Disney's Yacht Club Resort, Walt Disney World Dolphin Hotel, and Walt Disney World Swan Hotel. These boats run anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, so not too terribly long of a wait time. The only downfall with the boat system is that you are not going to see one if you are staying at a value resort property, and you're not going to see one if you are going to Disney's Animal Kingdom. There are no boats to and from the resorts to Animal Kingdom, so you will have to take another form of Disney transportation. Next, really great option that we haven't talked about quite yet are minivans. And I don't mean like a minivan, I mean mini as in Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse vans. These are Disney owned and operated in partnership with Lyft minivans that help you get all around the Disney World Resort property and specifically to the parks. They are designed in a really cute Minnie Mouse design. All of the drivers go through the Disney hiring process. They are super well vetted folks all around the Orlando area that bring the magic to your day by helping you safely get to and from the parks. These vehicles are clean and roomy. They do have 2 car seats available, and kiddos that are under the age of 6 are required to use the car seats. The cancellation for these Lyft vehicles is the same as your normal Lyft experience. You can cancel right in the app. The only con to minivans is they are quite pricey. They're going to be more than your traditional Lyft purchase, and they can be really hard to get. They're a hot commodity on the resort property because they're more of a luxury offering. Let's talk about Uber and Lyft. When we're looking at Uber and Lyft on the Walt Disney World Resort property, they have a really, really good partnership with the Disney World Resort. In general, there are Uber and Lyft or rideshare locations for you to get picked up at every single park. So you're gonna have a spot to get picked up and a spot to get dropped off, whether you are coming to and from those different parks. And they can pick you up right at your hotel as well. The pros here are really similar to what we talked about earlier. It gives you autonomy to go anywhere you want on the resort property. You just punch in where you wanna go and a certified Uber or Lyft driver will come get you. The main con here is at the end of the night. There are so many folks that are trying to leave the park and get a ride share, so it can get really competitive and you might have to wait a little bit longer after the end of a long park day to get back to your hotel. Another con is just the location of the rideshare pickup and drop off. It is slightly away from the main entrance, so you are gonna have to take quite a walk over to find your Uber or Lyft driver. It's not going to be as quick to access as your Monorail, your Skyliner, your buses, your Disney boats. All of the Disney World Resort property transportation is going to be prioritized over Uber and Lyft or rental cars. So just bear that in mind. The last and final option is, of course, a rental car. And this is an option that's going to give you the most autonomy on the Walt Disney World Resort property, because you can drive on your terms from park to park. A thing you need to keep in mind is you will need to pay to park at any of the Disney World Resort property parks, which means if you are parking at one park in the morning, but you are switching to another park during the afternoon, am I gonna have to pay twice to park? The good thing about Disney is that you don't. You only have to pay to park at the very first resort park you decide to go to. So let's say you go to Magic Kingdom in the morning, you pay for parking, you get a slip for your dash, and you want to park hop to Epcot in the afternoon. You are able to do that free of charge because you already paid your first parking slip in the morning at the park. The other thing to keep in mind is you are paying a per day parking rate. If you are choosing to park and use a rental car, there is an eighth option for transportation, and it is a completely free option. It is kind of a bonus ride experience from parking, and that is the Disney Trams. And the Disney Trams are simply a way to get you from your car to the front gate without having to walk all the way from your parking spot to the front of each individual park. Only exception to the rule is the Magic Kingdom. You will park at the Transportation and Ticket Center, and then you'll have to take one of the different options we talked about earlier, the monorail, the buses, so on and so forth, in order to get to the Magic Kingdom. And it really just keeps the Magic Kingdom separated away, its own world. You really want to be immersed on the Disney World property, and Walt's original goal was to make Disneyland, and specifically the Magic Kingdom and Disney World, as immersive as possible. He wanted to separate reality and magic, and was able to do that by taking the Transportation and Ticket Center and using that as a central hub in order to kind of keep the parking out of your mind and help you get to the resort in a more magical way. I don't know if you can consider buses a magical way, but it's better than just your car. Now that we've talked in length about how to get to and from the different Walt Disney World Resort theme parks, we're going to dive into how am I going to get from the different hotels to each other? How am I supposed to get to the different restaurants, to Disney Springs? How do I just enjoy everything else on the property? We'll start again with the buses. The buses are going to be the most universal way to get to and from different hotels and restaurants on the resort property, with the main hub being at Disney Springs. Meaning that, let's say you're trying to get from Disney's Art of Animation Resort all the way over to Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. If you want to do that, you can start at Art of Animation, pop on your bus, go to Disney Springs, do a switch bus, and take yourself over to Coronado Springs Resort. So again, you have to keep in mind there will be travel time when you choose to do this, but the buses are a really great way to get you around the property, and it also gets you to Disney Springs. You can take a little bit of time at Disney Springs before popping over to Coronado and checking out a different resort hotel. We love the Disney buses because they are absolutely free for anybody that wants to use them. And a really cool feature for some hotels is they do actually have an internal bus loop, because some of these resort hotels are so large, like Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. There are several bus stops all across the property to get you from one side of the hotel property to another. And there are also hotels that have sister bus loops like Yacht and Beach Club that can help you get from the lobby of one of the hotels to another. The main con for Disney World buses is they only run till 12:30 p.m., which honestly is really, really generous. But if you're looking to go from Disney Springs back to your hotel, keep in mind that they only run till about 12:30 p.m. And also keep that in mind if you're using the Disney Springs switch route option, again, going from one hotel to Disney Springs, hopping on another bus and going to another. You have to keep all of that timing in mind and make sure you orchestrate it perfectly so you don't get stranded. The second option is Disney's Skyliner that we talked about a little bit earlier, which connects Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, Riviera Resort, Art of Animation, Pop Century, Epcot, as well as Hollywood Studios. One of the pros of the Skyliner is that you can use it to hop from resort to resort, kind of doing a little mini snack and drink extravaganza, if you will. It gives you the option to kind of go and check out all of those different resort properties And one of the really fun things about Disney is trying out and checking out the different resorts. There's so much to see and do. There's different activities at each resort that you can really enjoy. And this is a wonderful way to get to and from each in order to do so. A couple things to keep in mind when it comes to cons for the Skyliner is, one, again, it does shut down during lightning storms, which makes it really unpredictable and not always the most reliable. In addition, it does close 90 minutes after park close for both Hollywood Studios as well as Epcot. So if you do find yourself staying around a little bit longer in the park to do some shopping after close, because fun fact, you can do that, or you find yourself doing a little hopping experience after your park day from hotel to hotel by using the Skyliner, there is a chance that you can get stranded and need to use Uber, Lyft, or taxi in order to get back to your resort. Going back to our good old friend, the Monorail, this is advantageous for folks who are spending probably the most money to stay at the Walt Disney World Resort property. The Monorail is available and there's a hotel loop for deluxe resort guests. These are folks that are staying at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Disney's Fort Wilderness. This is for folks that are staying at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and Disney's Contemporary Resort. So those folks have access in their backyard to hop on the Monorail, and it connects all three of those resort properties together and gives you the ability to kind of hop from one to the other and see the most luxurious resort hotels on property. I absolutely love the Monorail hotel loop. There's always a day where I will carve out some time, and it's usually on the first day I get there or the last day, to kind of just travel around the three main hotels. Go in each, kind of walk around, see the sights and sounds. There's really great snack options at each and lounges that you can check out if you want to do kind of a little snack and beverage tour like we talked about with the Skyliner. Give yourself the ability to kind of just go around, immerse yourself, and check out some hotels that you might not necessarily find yourself staying at on this trip, or, educate yourself on a hotel you might want to stay on for a future trip. The Monorail does close 1 hour after the Magic Kingdom closes, and also will shut down for inclement weather, so a couple limitations to keep in mind. And the biggest thing with the Monorail is it's really limited to folks that are staying on the resort loop. If you're not staying on the resort loop for the 3 aforementioned resorts, you are going to have to figure out a way to get to the Monorail loop, so just bear that one in mind. We're back to talking about the boat options. There are so many different routes you can access on the Walt Disney World Resort property to get you to and from your destinations, whether that's resort hotels or restaurants along the route access. The Disney World Resort boats, in my opinion, are highly underrated, especially if you have them available at your resort property to get you to and from multiple different resorts or to Disney Springs. There are several hotels that have a boat route that will take you directly to Disney Springs, and I think that is one of the best options for some of the more moderate resort properties on the Walt Disney World Resort. Resorts that currently reside on the Disney Springs water transportation route include Disney's Old Key West Resort, Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa, Disney's Port Orleans Resort Riverside, and Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter. These all use the Sassagoula River cruise boats and can help you get to and from Disney Springs. A really cool thing about this too is if you are at Disney Springs, you can take these boats over to the resorts to check them out. I love going to Port Orleans French Quarter and getting beignets. Anytime I go to Disney Springs, if I see those boats readily available, I'm probably popping over to Disney's Port Orleans because the beignets are so worth it. Boat options usually take about 15 to 30 minutes in between routes like we talked about, so that can lead to a little bit of longer wait time. Boat routes are dependent on inclement weather, so something to keep in mind there, as we've been talking about, that's kind of a common theme for Disney World transportation, is if you are using an option that is very dependent on weather, it might not be the greatest option for you, which usually again makes buses the most reliable. Another thing to keep in mind for the Disney Springs boat routes is that they do close depending on the day of the week you're there. If you're there anywhere from Monday to Thursday or on Sundays, the boats stop running at 11 p.m. and they stop running at 11:30 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. So if you are going to use the boats to get to and from your hotel, if you're staying at any of the 4 hotels I had mentioned, you got to keep in mind that they shut down at those times. And it typically takes about 15 to 30 minutes in between routes, but it can take longer depending on how busy and how popular the boats are on any given day. The pros and cons for the minivans have already been pretty reviewed in length. I think the biggest things here is just it's a premium option that costs a little bit more, and it can get you from any hotel on property to another and any restaurant on property to another or Disney Springs. There's a ton of autonomy there. I think we can say the same thing for Ubers and Lyfts. It just allows you to travel anywhere on the property, really on your terms. The last thing I want to talk about is the rental car option. Again, you have the ability to travel anywhere you want on your terms on Disney property. However, the one thing you need to keep in mind is if you are traveling from any hotel to another and you do not have a reservation at that resort for dinner or dining, you cannot park there. Disney does not allow you to park at other hotels on the property. Another thing to keep in mind too is if you are traveling to Disney Springs and you're taking your car, you are going to have to go through a security check in order to get into Disney Springs. This just ensures everybody's safety when traveling into and out of Disney Springs because you may be coming from off property. So Disney just wants to make sure that you are as safe as possible. So there will be a security check in the parking garages available at Disney Springs. Last and final is I would not recommend using a rental car if you do plan on indulging in adult beverages, just for your safety and everyone else's around you. There's so many different alternative forms of transportation on the property, so as always, drink responsibly and consider the other options you have on the resort. I hope this video was super helpful for you guys today in determining which transportation options work best for you and your travel party. There are so many options, from free options to cost-effective options to more luxury premium options for you to choose from. So you really just have to pick what works best for you. And I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight into all the different options you have so you can make the most educated decision for you and your group. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. If there's other video ideas that you have that you'd like me to review, make sure to comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys want to learn about on the Walt Disney World Resort property. I also have some really cool food review videos on my channel, so go check those out. Or if you want to try to make some Disney recipes at home, I also have a playlist for that as well. As always, this is Jillian from Maxie Makes Magic, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye, guys.